Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar where we intend to we're expecting to introduce to let everyone know about this bundle between Applivery and Threema in order to blend the endpoint management and securization alongside with the secure communications. One provided by Applivery, the second part provided by Threema. So this bundle, this partnership is expected to cause an interesting impact, and the synergies between the two organizations are part of the discussion today. So again, thank you for your attendance, and let's go for it. So let's meet the speakers. Martin, if you want to go ahead, and then I can jump in.
Sure. Thank you, Javier. So I'm Martin, partner manager here in Threema, Swiss company providing secure communication solutions, and currently on a transition from a direct sales company towards an indirect sales company. This means we are building the channel with distribution agreements, reseller agreements, and with alliances such as this one we have developed with Applivery. Given both products are complementary to each other. Yeah, so I'm very looking forward to showcasing you how do our solutions together fulfill end user needs.
Great. Thank you so much. And from my end, Javier Lima, CRO in Applivery, leading the go-to-market strategy and the different revenue streams that we have at hand, and also in charge of the partnerships and technology alliances. So this is a great example about a successful partnership / bundle with our colleagues from Threema. Applivery is a Spanish company, and we are on a similar stage, full SaaS, and spreading our business alongside with high value added partners such as Threema. So in order to move forward and quickly run you through a high level agenda, we will run with an introduction from both companies, a small, brief introduction. We don't want to jump into the specifics of the different organizations. Then what makes this partnership strong and providing this high value that we are commenting. Then we will run through several use cases, so you can check firsthand how this alliance can, in a tangible way, make a difference when it comes to securing both the devices, the endpoints, alongside with the communications on a corporate level, and then jump into a specific deep dive on the capabilities that we can provide from both ends. At the end, we will open a space for the audience attending this webinar in order so you can ask questions about the different topics that we will tackle during the session. So without further ado, let's jump into the introduction. Applivery is, as I mentioned earlier, SaaS cloud-based solution. We define ourselves as a new generation MDM or endpoint management solution. The naming of the industry, the naming of the specific topic is moving from MDM, Unified Endpoint Management, Mobile Device Management, towards endpoint management. The thing is that we are based in Madrid. We started we jumped completely full-time into the endpoint management industry around 3 years ago. So from our end, no legacy whatsoever from a technology point of view, from an organizational point of view, from all points of view, hence the new generation platform. As you can see, full compliance or highly compliant with the main certifications. An additional value is that we are based in Europe, starting in Madrid, and this makes us fully compliant from a regulatory, data-related, etc. point of view with the European legislation or regulation. As you can see below, 80% plus of our business is from outside of Spain, so we are already global, with operations in more than 65 markets, and we tackle both the SMEs industries or SMEs regarding sizes of clients, SMEs, mid-market, and enterprise, and we cover all industries. As you can see here, some examples from retail, energy and utilities, banking. So lots of huge references and not so huge, hence the SMEs and mid-market customers. It's not only us, but after such a little time in the industry, Gartner is already prescribing us as one of the preferred vendors in the endpoint management landscape. And back in January, we were included in the as a preferred vendor, as a reference vendor, as mentioned, in the endpoint management as an endpoint management tool. So I guess it's your turn, Martin.
Yeah, thank you, Javier. So who are we? Who is Threema? So Threema is a Swiss company which was founded back in 2012. Back then, when there were no end-to-end encrypted messaging applications, so someone with a basic IT knowledge connected to the same Wi-Fi could have access to all of the conversations from the same people who was connected at the same network. So this summarizes the principles with which Threema was founded, which is protecting the end user security and privacy. So as you can see, we have three different solutions for the private version, and then the B2B versions, which will occupy today's webinar, which are Threema Work, the SaaS solution with servers based in Switzerland, and Threema On-Prem, designed for those customers who like to have the servers on their own infrastructure. As you can see below, we have more than 8,000 customers as per today. And what kind of customers buy our product? I will say 60% of those customers are SMEs. On the one hand, they are the ones with less budget, but on the other hand, they are the ones more vulnerable to cyber attacks. And the remaining 40% are medium to large enterprises, from public sector, critical infrastructure, so industries such as healthcare, pharma, retail, transport. You have to think the more sensitive the information is, the more intellectual property on those industry, the more willingness those customers show on our products. Now, if we go to the next slide, we've been also categorized as market leader by Forrester Wave on the Secure Communications Solutions report. And they highlighted our metadata controls. This means that no chat information is stored on the server. This means I send you a Threema message. It goes end-to-end encrypted through the server. And as soon as the recipient receives the message, everything remains on the device. Nothing is stored on the server. While also they highlighted the multiple administration capabilities, and we were named as a top secure communication solutions by them.
That's huge. And it's great because both solutions, as we can see, are recognized by top prescriptive, so to speak, players such as Gartner and Forrester. So congrats for this, Martin. Now, reason why this bundle, everyone? We are through a lot of changes in the industry. It's been very static, so to speak, for many years, but things are changing as we speak. And events such as the COVID several years ago disrupted and accelerated a lot of changes, such as remote work, adoption of technology at all levels. Is something that is happening regardless of COVID, etc., but it's accelerating as we speak. So at this point, there are a lot of endpoints already adopted and are part of our working tools. No industry is being left behind when it comes to the digital transformation sort of wave. So moving forward from these huge changes are also creating problems and challenges for organizations. As you can see here, the amount of data breaches since 2021 has skyrocketed. Cyber attack frequency has also increased dramatically, and both affecting SMEs, mid-market, regardless of the size of the organizations. It's something that is becoming more and more of a challenge, more and more of a risk. So as Martin mentioned earlier, it's something that needs to be tackled, both from a device, endpoint management, and also from a communications point of view, corporate communications point of view. So this is why both organizations are coming to this, creating this partnership. And just to summarize and map out for the audience, what can Threema bring into the picture, into the partnership, Martin?
Indeed, yes. So we need to be very clear here. So Threema, we secure the communications. Yeah. So this means by using Threema, you ensure that you use an end-to-end encrypted application, that no information is stored on the server. It can be used completely anonymously. So this means if you start using other solutions such as WhatsApp or Signal, you have to provide your phone number in order to start using those applications. From a compliance perspective, this causes the following, that you are mixing personal and professional communications, and such information is stored on servers outside of the European Union, yeah, so not complying with GDPR. Also, you have to be certain that, and speaking about Threema work, we use our own servers, so we don't use third-party servers, and those are stored on 2 different secure centers in Zurich. And I will highlight also that we are not subject to the US Cloud Act. This means that, that American companies, they need to provide information if by law they are forced to, mandated to. Even if we were subject to it, the answer is always the same to the warrants that we receive, that we cannot provide what we do not store. Yeah. So summarizing, we secure the communications, but we do not secure the physical device. And here is where Applivery comes, right?
Great, thank you. And it's priceless, the value that you provide from a communication security, securing the communications point of view. And we intend to close the loop in a way. So from an endpoint security, it's a simple statement. As you can read in the initial bullet, after 2 weeks, whenever there is an update, a security patch, an update in the security in a given application in the operative system, after 2 weeks, there's still a 40% of the devices that have not been updated, patched, so to speak. And after 1 month, there's still a 10% of devices without the proper updating, the proper patching. This is critical, not only from a security point of view, because you leave open, vulnerabilities in the devices, but also from an operational point of view, because of the lack of optimization when it comes to, keeping the fleet of devices properly updated. We are not talking about days or weeks. We're talking about hours. This is something that Applivery meets and achieves as part of the non-legacy approach, new generation approach that we have. So this makes a huge difference. Additionally, we are compliant from a security and data point of view, related with, as mentioned earlier, from Threema's point of view by Martin, the fact that we are an European entity make us fully compliant with the European regulations. So again, critical for the sake of compliancy. And we provide capabilities in order to achieve this compliancy from a third-party certifications point of view, SOC 2, ISOs, etc. Again, new generation solution, new generation endpoint solution, zero legacy, and this also makes a huge, difference when it comes to the fact that we make our whole API available. We're not talking about several endpoints or several hundreds endpoints, but about more than 10,000 endpoints. Anything that you can do with the solution from the dashboard, from the dashboard of Applivery, it's something that you can also do via API. So there are many clients relying on direct integrations, API integrations, in order to enhance their operations, their security, etc. Also, the time to market, nothing to do with legacy competitors, so to speak. And this allows us 2 levels to achieve an implementation, accelerate the timings in terms of implementation of the solution, but also in terms of releasing new features. The release of new features is every day. There are updates, even from a bug fixing or from a small, updates, etc. But on a bi-weekly basis, we are releasing new features, new capabilities on a constant basis. And also the fact that we not only make a difference from a security point of view, but also from an operations point of view. We speak the operations, the language of the operations, and we always look for ways to enhance, improve, optimize the operation models from organizations from all sizes. Basically, these are the facts. Everything related with compliancy, regulatory compliancy, and endpoint security, and management and security. So some use cases, Martin, and we can start dancing together, because so far it's been more like a silo-based webinar.
Exactly.
Let's talk.
Let's bring people, viewers, from theory to practice, right? So let's bring viewers to real situations that customers face. So, for instance, how can end customers, the administrators, delete files that have been downloaded locally? Yeah. So first of all, this is something that happens very often with either Threema Work or Threema On-Prem. Just to be clear, the administrator can prevent Threema users from downloading the files locally, at first glance. Yeah. So you can prevent this by accessing the management cockpit and setting this configuration. But let's say that you allow this, you allow the end user to download the file, whatever it is, locally, but then it happens that employee can leave the company, right? And how can you delete files that are on employee's device, even in bring your own devices scenario?
That's great, and it's a huge example use case. And you just nailed it. It's not only for fully managed devices, meaning devices owned by the company and with a specific, work usage, but also for bring your own device scenarios where the device is mine or yours, but there's what is called a work profile, so a specific space inside the device that it's made available by Applivery in order to have the device is owned by the employee, but as an IT manager, I want to have control over the working side of things, the work space, this work profile, as we mentioned, regarding, cross-functional policies, not allowing for documents to be shared outside of this space, not taking screenshots, not copy-pasting materials or documents or pieces of text, even outside of this bring your own device space, this work profile space. And afterwards, as mentioned in the last screenshot, the IT manager from the organization can basically, delete the whole package or remove it from the employee device in the case of a bring your own device scenario. So from an ongoing point of view, after the relation between the employee and the company, in the case of the employee stops working for the organization, the control from a work point of view, workspace point of view, it's on the IT side of things, while preserving the privacy of the device, of the personal part of the device, because in the end, the device is not mine as an IT manager, but yours as an employee. So all dots are fully covered. Okay. Feel free to drop to leave any questions that you have on this topic, and happy to come back with answers at the end of the session. You will have the chance with a QR, etc. Okay. Just point them down, write them down, and leave it to the end. Data backup. Martin, second one.
Yeah, let's go to scenario number 2. So as I commented before, the chat information remains on the end user device. Nothing is stored on the server. And here also there is a possibility for the end user to do a copy of such content and export it locally, but always the administrator has the power to authorize or prevent this from happening. Yeah. Now, for certain situations where the company may be, let's say, interested for audit purposes, on having access to those conversations, as I said, imagine you authorize the data backup, but then you want to remotely delete this backup that the user generated, or also to export it to another cloud. Yeah. So how can Applivery help you with this?
Again, it's a very similar situation. As an IT manager, through the management cockpit, the control is absolute, and not only when it comes to data in the sense of files or, as you mentioned, data backup, but also from a traceability of all the things taking place in the device. Everything is properly logged as part of the platform. Who did what, when, and what triggered that action. So all these sort of log traceability, it's made available by Applivery for the sake of security, but also for the sake of compliancy. Whenever it comes to moving on with the certifications once a year, and you have the audits or the auditors or the certifiers coming to you. So it's basically making available all the information. And again, as an IT manager, preserving and keeping control over the activity taking place in the device. In the device, when it comes to fully managed in the whole device, when it comes to the bring your own device scenarios, as mentioned earlier, control and traceability over the work profile space inside the personal device. Okay. Third one, business continuity.
Yeah. I think we can stop here just to highlight to the viewers that they are seeing mobile devices and computers. Yeah, just to highlight, okay, in what devices do both of solutions work. So Threema was born as a mobile-first solution, but it works with a multi-device logic. So you need to have a mobile license, but then you can connect it simultaneously to other devices such as laptops or tablets. Yeah, and it works on mobile phone. It works on Android and iOS, whereas on the desktop application, Threema works with Macintosh, with Windows, and the on-premise solution, Threema on-prem, runs on Linux. It doesn't run on Windows. But maybe, Javier, you would like also to shed more light on Applivery devices?
Absolutely, and it's great that you bring this topic on the table. Again, almost, I would say 98% synergy. Subscribe fully everything you mentioned about the type of devices. There is a slide further later in the presentation, but except for Linux, we cover all the devices that Martin mentioned. So everything related with mobile devices and desktop, laptops, but also, as you will see later, kiosks, terminal, point of sales, everything running on Android, Apple operative systems in all their flavors, and Windows. So same page, almost, except for Linux. But yeah, let's go through. Go ahead, Martin.
Yeah. This highlights so the feelings we had for each other since we met on Mobile World Congress, right, back on 2024, that there was love at first sight. So full technological compatibility and delivering this joint value proposition to end customers. Yeah. Absolutely. So going to the third case, so business continuity. So those are scenarios where you are, let's say, under a cyber attack, or your servers are experiencing security issues. How do you keep the business going? Yeah, it happened in Barcelona 2 years ago. We will see that later. But that a famous hospital was a victim of a ransomware attack, and they took more than 2 months until they reached out there of employees. And maybe they don't even know that servers have been compromised or what applications have been compromised. So from the Threema perspective, Threema, you will have the certainty that Threema is the secure channel to communicate. But what about the device? How can Applivery IT administration attack this problem?
Absolutely, and it's something that, as mentioned earlier in the context and how security is becoming more and more critical for organizations, it's something that needs to be tackled and planified in advance. So as you mentioned, Threema provides the secure communications. Applivery provides the endpoint security. So I would say there are like two aspects in this use case. One is the preventive or the preemptive, in the sense of we have technology alliances with MTDs, mobile threat detection, EDRs, zero trust networks, and we have alliances with the biggest players in the market, in the industry. So this allows us to, for example, as mentioned in the as you can see in the device on top, sort of identify potential threats when it comes to, I don't know, a given file that it's been downloaded, etc. So we increase the threshold, the security threshold, when it comes to the security detection. Now, what happens if these sort of lines of defense are not enough, and we face a big threat, and it's already happening and affecting different devices? From Applivery, what we can do as an endpoint manager is sort of cripple, cut the features, the capabilities of the devices as we wish in a custom way. So we could have a policy for these sort of extreme scenarios, and come up with any given device, make available only the Threema secure communication application. So in this case, you preserve the communications. You don't need, as mentioned by Martin a few minutes ago, pencil and paper. That would be like a huge leap back, and it would disrupt not only the operations, which are, in these scenarios are already affected, but more like this, speed in the reaction and the coordination and the information to the employees, etc. So in this case, we can control what applications are to be preserved in a way available and operative, and which are not to be kept that way, to be made unavailable by employees. So having this degree of customization for employees on a real-time level, it makes a huge difference. So this is it, and the complement, the synergy between both solutions, it's huge. We cut the big threat, and preserve the communication from Threema to keep the organization sort of organized and coordinated against the threat.
That's very interesting. And also remember that recent regulations such as NIS2, they highlighted the importance of, for companies, critical infrastructure companies, of building contingency plans for
Exactly.
such scenarios, right?
That's right. So this is why I mentioned earlier, and I fully agree. It's like not think about the contingency plan once it's happening, which is way too late, but having these sort of policies already prepared. Nobody ever wants to activate this policy because it means that, you know, lines of defense are already being surpassed and broken, but you need this policy in place just as a last sort of line of defense in a way. Okay. Compliance.
Speaking about legal compliance, about NIS2 compliance, and just to be completely transparent, so there is no solution that by its own ensures you full 100% NIS2 compliance, and this is due to the very wide scope NIS2 directive has. Nevertheless, when using Threema and Applivery solutions together, you ensure that you take action on the most relevant articles from NIS2. Speaking about supply chain security, so Javier previously explained you how do you manage devices to enforce supply chain security standards, for example.
Clear, and it's Applivery in this case works as a hub, as a catalyzer for additional security solutions, as I mentioned earlier, from an MTD, EDR, CTN, ZTN point of view, lots of different solutions, alongside with the possibility of, having absolute control over the devices from a software and hardware point of view. So, owning control over the devices the way we can, alongside with reinforcing the security of the devices with third parties that are integrated with Applivery. It's a game changer. Yeah, absolutely.
And then also speaking about cyber risk management measures, so establishing this centralized control over endpoints and over the communications, because you may have heard that both Applivery and Threema have a management cockpit through which administrators can enforce policies and have this centralized control on how and who and when. And speaking also about incident reporting, this highlights how Threema has been integrated, for example, with CM solutions for alert notification, not only on human to machine, but even in machine to machine scenarios. So facilitating this secure and timely communication of incident and ensuring a faster reaction time. Time is money. So here we are speaking about two solutions that will not just provide you this centralized control, but will save you lots of resources.
Indeed, and also as again synergizing completely with Threema in this case. When we mention about centralized control, it's from a central point of view, from a management cockpit, as Martin mentioned. But this control can be enacted, can be achieved and executed in a segmented way across the fleet of devices, the fleet of endpoints that you have. So you have centralized control in a segmented way, because not all the devices have the same usage. We saw earlier 3 use cases. When it comes to our organization, the same device can have different use cases, different uses. So you can control a given device or a given segment of devices for a specific use case, and configure specific policies, specific actions, specific configurations for each use case. So it fits like a glove for a given use case. I didn't mention earlier, but there is an additional point here, not only the segmentation and the fact that you can apply specific policies, specific configurations for the needs of the given set of devices, but also the fact that we are moving, as we speak, towards what we call, and what it's called in the market, in the industry, sort of autonomous endpoint management. So basically bringing automation to the predictability, to the identification of threats, etc., anomalies, etc., but also to the reaction, to the mitigation actions, to the reactions, etc., in order to speed up the different processes, in order to achieve much more agility and have the actions taking place as soon as possible the moment something happens, something that requires an action or a reaction from the platform. In this case, reaction implies reactivity. So we are intending, and what we are working on is in bringing action and proactiveness ahead of the risks, ahead of the issues that can arise along the road. Third one, Martin?
Next one. Yep. I will say we have highlighted, yep, all of the articles here. So we will go to the next slide. Yep. So we spoke earlier about prevention and reaction, right? And at the end, you will see that with Threema, it's about prevention, which is better than reaction. If we speak in terms of reputation, if we speak in terms of how costly can be, you will see later. But what you can see is that 91% of cyber attacks start with a malicious phishing email to a random or targeted objective. Human error is a big part, plays a big role on the success of a cyber attack. And at the end, Threema policies are about reducing, minimizing this human error possibility. Yeah. We are facing a context of increasing number of cyber attacks at very large scale, and from the company perspective, they are living the risk at their employees' cyber awareness degree. So the larger the organization is, the more chances one employee on clicking to one Amazon free voucher and then surprised the day after servers are compromised, right? So if we go next,
there we go.
You may have read about recent scandals. You just have to read the main pages of the newspaper to see what happened 2 months ago, where a journalist was added by mistake on a signal group, and intelligence was shared, military intelligence was shared. So this journalist was shared of attacks on Yemen, which later happened. And at the end, this is an example of human error happening. Yeah. So how can you prevent this with Threema Work or Threema On-Prem? Well, first, Threema On-Prem is close communication circle by default. You can only communicate with your user group. And Threema Work, you can have this configuration too. Yeah, so this means that if someone from the outside writes you, even if they have your Threema ID, you will never get to receive this message. Yeah, as well as from the end user perspective, you will have a determined contact list, let's say imported from the Active Directory, imported from an unified endpoint management solution like Applivery, and those errors will not happen. And then, as I spoke earlier, Hospital Clinic in Barcelona, they suffered such ransomware attack. And sadly, later, even thousands of patients' data were leaked on the dark web, and not to speak about the surgeries which needed to be postponed. So this directly affected human lives, the health of innocent people. Yeah, so we are speaking about unquantifiable damages. So you will see on the next slide that what is the cost of not securing your communications. Yeah. On Cyber Readiness Report issued by Hiscox, more than 5,000 security professionals, employees, most of them from decision-making positions. Those that were affected by a ransomware, more than half of them ended up paying a bail for such stolen data, even if there is no national security institution. So INCIBE in Spain recommends never paying for a ransomware attack. One of the reasons is because even if you pay, you do not secure recovering the totality of your data. So only 46% of the respondents who suffered a ransomware attack confessed that they recovered all of the data. And here is the prevention against reaction argument. The top 3 stated reasons to pay. So protecting confidential documents, protecting employees' data, and ensuring business continuity. So those 3 key points can be prevented with either Threema Work and Threema On-Prem. So again, it's about preventing with Threema Work or Threema On-Prem rather than reacting and paying a massive price. We are speaking about hundreds of thousands of euros. So I will be very happy if you end up this webinar saying, okay, I know what Applivery is, what Threema is, I know why they bundle together, and I'm fully convinced on why prevention is always better than reaction.
Amen to that.
Now, highlighting what does to the previous stated information, how can Threema be different than other B2C solutions, for example, like WhatsApp, like Signal, like Telegram? As I said, we don't store any chat information on the servers, not to speak that we don't win money by commercializing users' metadata. No secret why Facebook changed the name to Meta. There are no coincidences here. You can preserve your anonymity, or at least don't provide any personal data. So on the B2C solution, you can preserve anonymity because you don't need any personal data. You don't need to provide phone number or email address. Whereas on the corporate solutions, it's only with your providing your work email to the IT administrator, but you don't need to provide a phone address either. High level of efficiency, so SLA of 99.9% guaranteed. Huge level of control in terms, as I said, of configurations, creating close communication circle, restricting local download, preventing end users from creating groups or from engaging into video calls. It's more than 40 configurations that can be applied at an individual or a local or global level, and also the possibility of integrating the solutions in other softwares.
Amazing.
So you can see a look and feel of the iOS beta version. It looks very similar to solutions like WhatsApp, precisely because user experience matters to us, and we want this transition to be soft. We don't want a huge revolution. We want users to feel familiar with what a secure messaging application tends to look like. If we go to the next one. Also, there is a desktop application, and here I would like to highlight, this is where our development priorities is now. Back in time, as we were a mobile-first application, we had a very targeted audience, but let's be honest, for companies that had security maybe not on the first or second priorities, but rather usability, the chances of them adopting Threema was low, maybe because they were prioritizing collaboration features rather than security. So with features like end-to-end encrypted group calls, which are currently available already on the desktop version, or screen sharing, or one-on-one end-to-end encrypted calls, and customers will not have to choose between usability or security, but they will choose everything. So this is why this is on our top priority. Keep making the desktop application more and more user-friendly. Yeah?
Amazing. And
last but not least, as I said, so you achieve maximum security as you have the servers on your own infrastructure, complying with data residency laws, for example. You have closed user group by default, yeah. And as I said, it's the look and feel here. It's compatible with iOS, with Android, and it runs on Linux. So I will say it's Applivery's turn now. I'm jealous of you viewers because I would like to see that for the first time. Big things are coming, so please, Javier.
Let's jump into it. Thank you so much. And it's unequal. I mean, it's the bundle. It's so balanced that it's equally amazing. So thank you for your words, but nothing to be jealous of. So where are we standing? We mentioned earlier anything, and I will be quick and brief. So we provide management and security capabilities for all sorts of Apple devices, Apple-based or Apple operative system managed devices, Android, and Windows. This means mobile devices, laptops, desktop computers, watchOS, tablets, etc. But also kiosks, totems, TVs, etc. Anything running and being compatible with the operative systems that I mentioned earlier. 3 operative modes, super quickly. Fully owned device, fully managed devices, owned by the company, and specifically for work-oriented purposes. So work, purposes. Secondly, hybrid devices, personal devices, both BYOD, personal device with corporate usage, or the opposite, corporate devices with part of a personal usage. Both ways it can work, okay? And then dedicated devices. This is something that everyone thinks about, okay, endpoint management, the ones that I have in my pocket, this one, and then the laptop, which I am holding this webinar from, etc. But also, huge fleets of kiosks, TVs, digital signage. I don't know, these are the typical devices that you have in when you go to a restaurant, etc. And now it's being, the bill is paid through the device, everything related with portable point of sales, blah, blah, blah. Anything you think about nowadays is shifting towards digitalization through all the processes, etc., through endpoints in many ways, okay, in a lot of cases. Now, bring your own device. This is how fancy, this is an Android example, looks like the BYOD. Basically, this compartmentalization, this sort of a bubble in the work profile in the device, where the IT manager has absolute control over this corporate side of the device, while, again, preserving the I mentioned everything earlier, so I'm not going to run through it all again, okay? Kiosk mode, making operations super easy. When you have a given device with a very specific purpose, can be a tablet, can be a mobile device, etc., or a totem, as I mentioned earlier, etc. You basically narrow down the capabilities of the device. I don't want this device to take pictures, to the flash, making calls, etc. I only wanted to have 3 apps or 6 apps, as you can see here in the multi-app advanced option, only 6 apps in order to run whatever amount of activities. That's it. I don't want anything else to take place. Actually, as an IT manager, I want the device to be properly protected. So I have the antivirus, for example, antivirus application. It's installed, but you as an operator won't be able to see it. It's a 7th app, but I made it invisible for you as a user of the device. So it's basically sort of damping down the device, allow me the expression, for this specific purpose. From embedded website and make it available through the device to the multi-app advanced, where you can even protect the the specifications, miss the word, properties of the device, and even brand it according to the organization. Okay. Remote control, critical, and this is it can make a huge difference when it comes both to security, but mainly to operations. Having remote access, in order to help the operations from the Applivery dashboard in a remote way, either to understand what's going on, so you have full triage information about the, I don't know, the connectivity level, the battery level, etc., what's going on with the device, and also the timeline, the log about what's going on as you jump into the actual remote session, with full access to the device remotely. This is available at the moment for Android. We are working on the other operative systems. But when you think about, I don't know, frontline workers, field services scenarios and use cases, this is key. If you have a problem, you either request support to the IT system, to the IT managers in the organization, and they contact you and access your device remotely, or even in unattended devices. And this is something much more unique in the case of Applivery. Think about, I don't know, huge fleets or big fleets or whatever the size of kiosks, totems, digital signage, and with the proper setup, it can be only calibrated once for a fleet of devices in a single device, and it will be made available for unattended remote access. When it comes to operations, this is key because you don't need the authorization from anyone at the other side of the line, so to speak, clicking on a button in the device to be accessed. So a huge difference when it comes to support. It is, and actually it's something that is patented from our end, because it's a unique calibration process that we came up with. So yeah, it does make a difference. And the bigger the fleet and the bigger the impact, the more impact from our end, because it eases and facilitates the remote access and remote support.
And also
go ahead.
Let's say, I just came up with the situation where you need remote support with Applivery. Yeah. Yep. And with Threema, you can create also private chats with a PIN. So even in that case, the person who will be supporting you remotely will not have access to see that conversation. Yeah,
that's a great idea, and it's a fourth use case slide that we will for sure include in the materials for the bundle and for the alliance. I fully buy it. Yeah, absolutely. Great one. Taking note on this one. Making available and managing not only the devices and the hardware side of things and the applications included, but also sort of having the chance to orchestrate the whole life cycle of the applications and mainly distribute them, push them into the devices in a controlled way, either through our connection or integration with the main public stores, Play from Android and stores from Apple and Windows, but also with our app distribution capability, either for the pushing and making available the applications in a private corporate way. So making available the set of applications for specific users, actually the required users in the organizations, and also in order to preserve the updating and the patching of these applications in a superb, optimized and efficient way. Fully integrated with the main single sign-on systems and IDPs. So we not only connect and govern, and protect and manage the devices, but also in alignment with who is owning this device. So the identity, the corporate identity, it's also a critical part of the Applivery capabilities. And last but not least, and jumping and surfing already, last slides, everything related, and these are more common endpoint management capabilities or features, everything related with password management, data, disk encryption of the devices, remote wiping, manage of networks, Wi-Fi's, VPNs, etc. Everything remotely from the IT side of things in the organization. Super important. We don't require the deployment, the installation of an agent, except for three things: remote support, geolocation, usage and tracking, and traffic management. So understanding what is being used in a given device in terms of apps, and the traffic that is being the traffic taking place in the device. For traffic consumption, when you have, I don't know, 5G plans with a carrier, okay, and I have a fleet of frontline workers or field services, I want to manage, I want to understand what's being consumed and what plans I should have or what not. So alongside with many other things, okay? But from a capabilities point of view, this is it. Last but not least, from a cloud point of view, we are, as I mentioned earlier, fully hosted on GCP, even though, as you can see here, I mentioned earlier, 80% of our clients are from outside of Spain. So you can understand it's global deployments, and we can make the solution available in 3 separate ways. SaaS, full SaaS, you pay for it, you know the game. Second one would be hybrid approach, where your sort of storage can be made available by your own AWS, for example, the S3 system, or with your own cloud storage from GCP. And last but not least, private cloud with, I don't know, sensitive industries, big organizations which I want to have my own tenant, not only the tenant, but my own sort of packet, my own solution deployed. We don't do on-prem. This is something that we will need to discuss because Threema, they have a huge on-prem solution. From our end, we followed a different policy. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but we sort of both ways can lead to success and are actually leading to success. So, but in our case, we sort of shifted on-prem for private cloud. It works for us as on-prem works for Threema, and both are completely, fully compatible with each other. And this is it. Anything else, Martin, before jumping into the Q&A session?
I will say we went through all the points that we had on the agenda. We really hope that the viewers have a clear vision on what does each of the solution provide. And I will say this is it from our side.
Same from my end, from Applivery's end. Thank you so much to everyone for the attendance, for the your attention during these minutes, and we hope you enjoyed the ride and the bundle, and even more, we hope you find it interesting. And let's talk. Reach out either for a Q&A or for I want to know more, and we will be more than happy to comply and come back to you with full support. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone. See you soon.